So guys, so I went into Vinland Saga and thinking it was just going to be a cool Viking action show. You know, big dudes, big axes, people getting their heads caved in, fun times, something like that. And look, some of that. But about 3 episodes in, I realized this show was doing something completely different to what I was expecting. And by the time I finished both seasons, I genuinely didn't know what to do with myself. Like, it's just emotional and completely changes my whole opinion about this show. So let's talk about it. So Vinland Saga is set in like the year 1000 or something. Vikings are running around Europe, raiding everything inside. And we follow this kid called Thorfinn, who grows up in the middle of all of it. This whole thing at the start is revenge. Classic setup, right? Dead parent, angry child, wants to kill the guy responsible. You've seen it 100 times. But what Vinland Saga does that most shows don't is it actually interrogates that. Like, it doesn't give you the revenge fantasy. It sits with you and goes, okay, but what happens after? And what does any of this actually cost? And I wasn't ready for that conversation at all. So the first thing is the animation. Mappa did this one and they went all in. They went completely insane with the animations. Like, the fights aren't flashy in the way you would expect from like maybe Demon Slayer or JJK or solo leveling. But I'm telling you, they're completely brutal. Fast, messy. People get hurt in ways that actually looks like it's actual hurt. Which sounds obvious, but a lot of anime kind of glosses over that. And the second thing is that this is the big one. There's a character in this show called Askelan, I think. But I'm not going to spoil what he does or what happens to him, but like, I will say that he's one of the most layered, the most written, the best written, interesting, complicated characters I have come across in any anime. Ever. I'm telling you, ever. The kind of guy where every time he's on screen, you're watching like, what are you actually thinking right now? Season 1 genuinely belongs to him because he's just completely the best written character ever. I don't know whether to hate this guy or to actually respect this guy. I completely do not know. So then season 2 happens, and look, I know a lot of people drop off here and they stop watching because it's kind of slow and things like that. It slows down significantly. The tone shifts. If you came for the Viking actions, you're going to be confused for a bit. But if you stick with it, and I really mean stick with it, season 2 has some of the best character work I've seen in anything. Thorfinn's arc in the second half is genuinely moving. Like, I found myself actually caring about this guy in a way that I wouldn't expect to after season 1. So this show basically asking, what does it mean to live without violence? What does peace actually looks like? And what does it mean to be a true warrior? And it does it true like a whole Viking story, which is kind of insane when you think about it. Right, so I'm just not gonna sit here and just tell you it's flawless or it's perfect, because it's not. The early episodes of season 1 track a bit. There's like an arc that some people find slow before the main story actually kicks in. I personally didn't mind it, but I've seen enough people complain about it and that it's worth mentioning. So in season 2, again, if you go in cold without knowing the tone is going to change, you might bounce off it and you might just like drop the anime after season 1. I would say just go in knowing that it is intentional. When I first started watching this anime, I was like, okay, this is kind of boring. But then you just like you have to have like a mindset that think this is intentional. And then once you actually start watching it, it gets even deeper. So the show is just doing something deliberately different, and it's worth giving it the space to do that. So basically, those are pretty minor things overall, though. So yeah, Vinland Saga. I went in expecting an action show and came up the other end actually thinking about what the show will actually say and what does it mean. Like that doesn't really happen often when I watch like some other animes that I watch. For me, this anime is actually a solid 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, but like, it's doing something meaningful and it does it so well. If you haven't actually watched it, genuinely, please, and go watch it. It will completely change your whole entire life. It also gives you the motivation to, the freedom, things like that. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.